Hey, yo, what's good, everybody? This is your boy, Wester OG, and welcome to another day of Podcast Network. And today I'm chilling with Nkululeko from iDiskiTv and Nkululeko on Culture.
Yes, sir.
How you doing, sir?
I'm good, thank you, man. How are
Thank
you?
you for coming, blessing us with your presence.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, you have one of the most growing podcasts on the country. How does it feel?
Yeah, no, we good. We're good. iDiskiTv has, I think it's close to 150,000
Yeah, iDiskiTV is
subscribers. And then Nkululeko on Culture, I think, is on 35,000 subscribers. So,
yeah.
it feels good, man, because the thing is, you don't have to work, and that becomes your job. Like, if you shoot content for like 6 hours or maybe close to 10 hours per week. So I don't work,
Yeah.
I literally do that. And I bought my house from YouTube money, for example.
Like,
Yeah.
no way.
I live in a dope suburb, and iDiskiTV changed my life dramatically. And it's strange because it happened here.
This means I have to focus more.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You see, that's
I
why
need to put in more work.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why it's easy for me. If you invite me to your platform, I'll come because I know like I'm where I'm at because people are coming to my platform.
Because of people.
The only thing, and I will say this to other young creators as well, because they do this. They invite me on their platforms. I won't come if I don't see any evidence that you guys are shooting proper. You know, sometimes someone will invite you, and then when you look at the link, it's like, these niggas are fucking around. Like,
How is my link?
yours, I saw this, I was impressed. I saw these microphones, and I was watching it, and I was like, nah, cool. It's
But
worth
you were
doing.
dissing me just a few minutes ago. You
What
say,
did I say?
I don't have cameras. I don't have.
No, I wasn't dissing you. I was like, I was saying I'm surprised that you don't have cameras, but you are able to dish out decent content.
Okay.
Because you see, so I did an interview with one. I invited guys to my house one time. They were coming from KZN, and they wanted to interview me. By the time they got to my house, I was so shocked. Like, the sound comes from the phone, and their phone looks dark and it's fuzzy. You know, you need to be serious when you're doing content. You are in a studio, and there's so many. I was taking on a tour here. It's an impressive space, and I was speaking to the owner of this building. We're talking business and shit like that. That he actually sold companies before, and I was so impressed with it because we recently sold 51% of iDiski, and that changed my life dramatically as well.
Wow.
So we're speaking at a boss level language,
Yeah.
you know. And I was like, nah, you guys are making an effort. Like,
You should pay me, you know, because I bring people here. For example, Nota was here, right?
Yeah.
They came, they started talking business. I don't know, they didn't even include me on their business. It's like.
But Nota is doing you a favor. I'm doing you a favor. I'm coming.
I know.
But I get what you're saying. Like,
Yeah.
it's incredible when you speak to people that have made money.
Yeah.
Anyone who's seen like 5, 6, 7, upwards millions, they have this carefree spirit about them.
They have
Like,
another language of speech.
Absolutely, and they have another body language
Yeah.
as well. Like the way that they carry themselves, they couldn't care less. Like, they're not bothered because they don't have a bill that they cannot pay.
Yeah.
Like, there's no electricity.
And like us, hey, I need to borrow money to come to the studio.
You know what I'm
It's
saying?
tough.
Yeah, but you're on the right track though, because content pays, but you need to do it the proper way. So even in my house with Nkululeko and Culture, I bought that house and then I reserved some space. It's bigger than this space, and then I have like 3 cameras, 4 microphones.
You're breaking now.
You know what I'm saying? Like, no, I'm not breaking. I'm teaching.
Yeah.
And I have laptops as well. I have lights. All of that cost me upwards between 80 and 100,000. That I'm talking about the seriousness of doing content, right? So when you're doing content, you have to be very serious. You need to be very purposeful, right? You shouldn't record anything on a microphone that's not audible, because you are challenging the person who's watching on their phone to lift up their volume or to get closer to the speaker. No. It should be a seamless thing. Like, just like when they're watching TV or radio, because that's what we are competing with, it should be a seamless thing. When you're speaking, you know what I'm saying? And also it mustn't be fuzzy. The cameras mustn't be fuzzy. I was shocked when I invited those guys to my house and I saw the final product. I didn't even promote it, because sometimes, like, even with this interview, I'll post it on the iDiskiTv, which has like 300,000 followers.
Thank you.
You know what I'm saying? And I know, like, you will definitely get 2,000 people watching.
Yeah, thank you.
You know, and I didn't even promote that because it's a poor product, you know what I'm saying? And you don't expect fans to be able to consume that nonsense. You know, you have to respect those fans.
Yeah,
In as much as you don't, when they comment, you don't follow them. When they criticizing, you don't care. It's like, fuck you. I don't care about your opinions. But you respect them enough to give them a product. They can watch or not watch. It's up to them. You know, so it's very important. Like I saw, like I was saying to you when I got here, I'm like, oh shit. I would have thought that there's 3 different cameras for different angles.
Yeah.
You know, but it's still like a dope.
No, we're going there. We're going there.
Yeah, but it's still dope though.
Maybe when you come back the next time, it will be.
Yeah.
Everything.
Why are you doing this though? Like why are you podcasting?
I have different reasons. Firstly, what made me to go to podcasting is I needed to do something with my life which I love. Besides, you know the system, you need to go to school, after school, work. So you never get to do what you love. So I decided, no, I need to look for something. I tried playing soccer, something. I couldn't. I was like, what can I do, man? What is it that I do?
Yeah.
Then some guys said, you love watching podcasts. Why don't you start yours? I'm like, why should you do that? Months passed on, then I decided, I need to do something which, after 20 years, I'll just look, oh, shit, this was me trying to, at 20, I was like this, doing this. Yeah.
Are you 20 now?
I'm 20 now.
Okay, nice one.
Yeah.
That's you said to you, like, you're very privileged that you got to get Nota and you got to get myself.
Super, yeah.
Those are like young 32, we both 32 and we both don't really have jobs. Young people who've seen millions in their bank account. You know, like, and they impart knowledge too as well. So you're very, very fortunate.
I'm very, very, very.
Yeah.
So speaking of Nkululeko and culture and iDiskiTv, how do you separate the two? When do you record it? And
so I started Nkululeko and culture because I was tired of talking football. I know a lot of things. Like, I know a lot of things in the world. And I know music sometimes. I think I know music more than I know football, but I know I'm a football expert too. You know, on a weekly basis, whenever there's a match, Chiefs, Pirates, or Sundowns is playing, we'll shoot. So even today, Paris is playing in the MTN 8. Later, and you see I have my bag here, so I've worked out my day that I'm going to be here, and then later on I'm going to be shooting versus Orlando Pirates. And then tomorrow, there's Kaiser Chiefs playing Stellenbosch, and then Mamelodi Sundowns playing Supersport.
Yo, you know a lot.
I'm gonna be shooting that as well. I have to know. It's important. Even though sometimes I misremember things and people have a go at me for that, but I know a lot of stuff about football. But on a weekly basis, whenever there's a match between Chiefs, Paris, Sundowns, and Bafana playing, we'll shoot that, and then I try to shoot 2 times or 3 times a week with Nkululeko and culture. So the way I do it is that most of the time during the week, football matches don't play early, like they play from 7 p.m. onwards. So in the morning, I will do Nkululeko and culture. So if I have an interview that I've arranged with someone, I will shoot between 10, 11, 12, and maybe 1 p.m. And then after that, like after hours, I will shoot iDiskiTv. I try now, like because the season has opened, I try not to shoot Nkululeko and culture and iDiskiTv on the same day because it takes
so much energy.
Yeah. Like there's so much that I exert myself with Nkululeko and culture. I talk to people. Sometimes we argue, and I speak for 2.5 hours with people. So by the time I get to iDiski, I'm so exhausted. You know, but sometimes I'll do it because if it's an interview worth having, if it's someone who's interesting, then I can have it. Unfortunately, because you have to work your schedule around the celebrities or the people that you want to interview.
I think that's the reason your podcasts are the most growing in the country. Because you are very consistent. Consistent, I mean,
Yeah, you have to, like, I don't think we are the fastest growing podcast, but we have, I think in the last 28 days, well, we can actually look at it. It will tell us in the last 28 days how many people have subscribed to Nkululeko and culture. I'll show you actually in real time. So in the last 28 days, we have received 640,000 views. Right, and then 6,700 subscribers. Damn. And we've earned 15,000 rands from YouTube in the last 28 days. That's Nkululeko and culture.
Aye, that's big.
But if I show you iDiski, you might think, okay, let me show you iDiski.
You're motivating me now.
So iDiski is a different level. So in the last 28 days,
is this real?
Yeah, iDiskiTv in the last 28 days, right? It shows there. Last 28 days. 2.7 million views, 7,100 subscribers, 68,000 rands from YouTube.
Whoa.
You know what I'm saying? So
No, I need to put in more work.
yeah, that's motivation for you as well.
Yo.
So that's a different level. iDiskiTv it changed my life, and that's not an understatement. Like, it changed my life, and it happened here. Like, I dreamt of it the way that it is, and I saw it, and I designed what we want to do, the kind of mesh day shows that we wanted to do, and it's actually very simple. It's just me, Juneka and me, Tsovilagazi, me, Machaka, and one of our guys, Utukutuku Makanya, actually, he was working with us for the past 12 months. He actually got a job from Orlando Pirates. He's a former Pirates player. Right, he's a Pirates legend.
Your platform is big.
Yeah, so he works for Pirates. We've lost him now to Orlando Pirates. You know, so yeah, iDiski is a different level. Even our website, iDiskiTimes.co.za, I think it does 3 million views per month. Our Facebook, iDiskiTv, is 300,000 followers, and then we just passed 50,000 on Twitter. I hate Twitter, fuck Twitter, but there's someone who works on Twitter.
Why do you hate Twitter?
Fuck Twitter, man. I think it's a space that encourages ignorance. I've listened to a lot of people who were pioneers who started Twitter, and they explain why there was a limitation of the number of characters that you can use when you're making a status or a statement, and they were deliberate. They were saying that when you have limited number of words, when you speak, you are more inclined to use insulting words. You are more inclined...
That's a lie.
Well, the people that designed it say that, you know. So when you don't have enough of a space to write an essay and express yourself at length, 5 pages, and you're told that you can only use 120 characters to make your point, you have an inclination to just get to the point. And when you get to the point, you are more inclined to be offensive. You are more inclined to say stupid shit to other people. And at a digital level, a lot of people are very, very offensive. They talk shit.
And they do.
And they're full of shit. But in real life, like, people give you love and shit like that. So I would rather not be on Twitter.
As I was telling you, they went on me. Last week, I had a bad day. Extremely bad day. Like, hey, you podcasters. Like, wait, you need to delete your channel. It's like, this is, I never expected to be... I expect to be criticized, but not in that way.
Yeah, no, they're full of shit. So, but you're 20, I'm 32, so it's okay. Like, it's okay for you to be affected by those things. But and you said you were watching me talking to Penwell, and I was talking about, even with Saul, and I was talking about, I never read comments. Imagine... iDiskiTv has so
from
many
now
people.
on, I'll never.
I never read comments. You shouldn't. But you're young enough, though. Sometimes those things will affect you. They wouldn't affect me. I was told when I was studying Nkululeko and culture, because what I used to do is I used to actually like comments, just to encourage people to comment. So I never responded, not even once. But the reason why I was there at the beginning was that I know, like, I'm building a platform. It was on 0 subscribers at the time. So the first few episodes, people will be like, yo, stick to football. Who the fuck do you think you are? And for me, that fuels me. Like, it motivates me. Because I'm full of shit. Like, I would be like, you will see me, motherfucker. Check me
for
in
that
2 years. reason,
you're gonna see me more.
But one again, and check me in 2 years. When you come back in 2 years, I will have over 100,000 subscribers, and I know that for a fact that's gonna happen. I know for a fact that not even in 2 years for that motherfucker who said those things, but by February, March, I will already have 100,000 subscribers. And if I keep on doing this for 3 years, I'll have 500,000 subscribers. I will be like a radio station.
You're gonna get it.
Yeah, and even you yourself, like, that's why I was saying you're privileged, because you actually got big hitters from the beginning, and keep on trying other big hitters as well.
I'll try. I'll keep on trying. You saying that iDiskiTv was your vision?
Yeah.
But I'm not sure, but it happens that you said, I think we were with Penwell. You said that you have co-owners or something. It happened here in my head, but the way that it works is that you have to work with people. So my partner, Jason Aker, is a white guy. I worked with him at Sokalatuma. He gave me a job. He gave me my job at Sokalatuma. So I was working for a newspaper at the time, Sokalatuma. And Jason started something. We were actually working in a room like this. There were 2 microphones, and there was a mixer. So what I used to do was to talk to soccer players like this, right? And call them and ask them questions. And we would package those interviews. And we package those interviews
would put them up on the website. Sokalatuma had like 1 million people visiting every week, and then people would listen to those interviews as opposed to read them. Right, so that was my first job. Not first job, but I had been working a long time. But my first breakthrough in media. I was 26, 27, so I did that with Jason. So we came to Joburg to work for a radio station called Massive Metro. It's an online radio station. So I won awards at Sokalatuma Radio, blah, 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 career on the up and up. But I always knew, like, I don't want to work for other people. So,
it's irritating.
You know, like, you're fully aware that you feel depressed every time you go to work. Whenever someone tells you something, you already know, like, what you're telling me is not going to work, but your position of superiority is such that I can't tell you otherwise. So if your boss is telling you that we need to do something like this, and you're like, shit, this is not going to work, but you have to do it. So I always knew, like, fuck, I'm not going to be good long term at this working thing, particularly working for other people. So Jason and I, when we came to Massive Metro, that was like a hustle so that we can continue paying our bills. But to come to Johannesburg, we knew that if we come to Johannesburg, we'll be able to start our thing. So we started iDiskiTv, we started iDiskiTimes, the newspaper that's in all shop rights in Gauteng. Now every Wednesday, every Tuesday at all shop rights, we have iDiskiTimes. So people can just go there, pick it up for free. You know,
it's for free.
It's for free, and 40,000 people consume it every week. You know, and we have like dope sponsors like World Sports Betting, partnerships with MultiChoice, partnerships with ShopRite. You know, and we have like some of the greatest lineup of journalists, like top journalists in the country, as well. So you just go there at ShopRite in Gauteng and pick it up for free. So we started those businesses. But iDiskiTv specifically was something that I envisioned in my head. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, cool. It would be nice for me to take former players and ask them and watch the game with them and ask them about how they feel about the game. So we used to do that at stadiums at the beginning, and then until we got famous. Like if we go to the stadiums now with my guys, there would be a stampede. Like
we paying or
you have to pay people. Everything you do, like even in Nkululeko culture, I pay people. Everyone who works for me gets paid. Like I hate the idea of not paying people and paying people late, because I experienced it when I was working at different companies. Like you get paid late, five days after payday, and your debit orders are bouncing. Everyone who works for us, iDiskiTv, iDiskiTimes, our newspaper, our website, everyone gets paid. Like it's a proper company.
Yeah, it's a proper company.
And we should pay because we make in
great content.
In sponsorship revenue, we make millions. You know, so we have to pay people.
So when you say you had to get like former players, is that how you got Junior Kanye?
Yeah. Because when I was working at Sokalatuma at the newspaper, my colleagues used to interview him, and I used to see how people are responding to him. So they used to hate everything he said, and I was like, that's all I need. Because I mean, as I'm reading what he's saying, I'm sober. I don't drink alcohol. I don't do drugs. I watch a lot of football matches. I'm like, shit, this nigga is right. Actually,
he's a proper expert in football.
So I saw, okay, cool, he's polarizing. So when you're polarizing, it means that you're like Nota. Nota is polarizing. When he says something, he makes people feel very good or extremely good or extremely upset. You see, so when you're speaking, people are not in the middle. They're not like, I don't know how I feel about this. They're like, fuck you. And other people are like, yeah. You know what I'm saying? So those are polarizing characters. People like Nota, people like Junior Kanye, at a level of how they deliver messages, they're very polarizing. I'm not saying that they are alike or they grew up the same, but I'm just saying on that level, they are very polarizing. Like they make people feel extremely upset or extremely happy. So I saw that in Junior. Like I see things in people. Like when I walk into the room and I talk to people, I'm not only observing my conversations with them, I'm also like scouting. I'm looking and I'm trying to hear. Like that's why when I see someone like Slick Talk, who I'm gonna work with at some point when I have money to pay him, I'm like, shit, that's gold. That's something.
Hey, Slick Talk extremely goes, when he goes for you, he goes for you.
And those kind of polarizing figures are people that you can make content with. They can work for your brand while they still work for themselves as well. So I would love, like someone that I would love to work with in future, and I'm working on that. But you need to budget for that. Like in order for you to involve him on Nkululeko culture, you have to make sure that he gets paid for that. Even if he commits to one show per week, on my channel, I would definitely do that. But I'm just working on the budget to make sure. And of course, we need to develop a relationship, build the trust that he must know, okay, this guy, if I move to Joburg, this guy is going to make sure that I'm paid straight for 12 months or for 24 months. You know, so those are the kind of things I'm working towards. So I'm always listening for stuff, always looking and smelling stuff. You know, so people like that, for me, they excite me. It's like, shit, that's dope. Like, I want to work with this person. Anyone who's hated, anyone who makes people feel a kind of way, I'm like, I like you. Because you are offensive.
Unlike other brands, like commercial brands.
Fuck commercial brands. Even though we need their bread somewhere. Fuck them.
Yeah, you said you and Jason came to Joburg, right? And you knew that once you get to Joburg, something will come up. What is it that people from outside Joburg, where are you from? Limpopo?
Yeah. Where's your family originally from?
Limpopo.
Okay, and you Tsonga?
Tsonga, yeah.
Okay, cool.
So when those people come to Joburg, they know that they're gonna make it. Yeah. And then there's people from Joburg who don't make it while they're in Joburg. What is that? I don't get that.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think for me, to answer your question directly as it relates to me and Jason, we knew that the football industry is in Joburg. So that's like a very simple answer. That we only had Cape Town City in Cape Town. So even if you want to do a face-to-face interview, you can only interview Cape Town City players. But you can't interview everyone else. Whereas when you come to Gauteng, you have Sundowns, you have Supersport, you have Jomo Cosmos, you have everyone. Chiefs, Pirates, Bidvest at that time. You have every football club, whether it's in the high level or lower level, you have all the clubs that are here. You know what I'm saying? So at that level of that question, I can answer it simply by saying that the industry is here. So all the radio stations and the TV channels are here. You know, the industry is centralized, and that's unfortunate. I've thought about this week, that I'm like, why wouldn't Cape Town have like multiple TV channels and multiple radio stations just to make sure that they also keep their talent there, as opposed to people leaving Cape Town to come and use their expertise here or export their expertise here. Now, the other side to your question that I think is very interesting, I think people have a grandiose ideas about who they are. So sometimes bias jailer.
Yeah, they're entitled.
Yeah. The bias jailer, and they are entitled. They have a mentality of thinking that they are shit. Like sometimes I look at, so when I walked into Massive Metro, for example, I was met with a lot of people who were negative towards me because I speak Xhosa first and foremost. And secondly, they were like, who the fuck is this nigga? You know what I'm saying? And I can understand that because you're moving into a new environment. But I think I also had questions about them too. Like, who the fuck are you? But in a positive way. Like, in my head, I'm like, okay, if you think that you're so good, what do you do? What can you start? And then I saw the attitudes changing when they first saw iDiskiTv being started. And then some of them first saw us reaching 10,000 subscribers. And then we were trending all the time on Twitter. Then they start to respect. And I don't even take that as respect. They dig right people who are successful. People from Joburg will revere you. Like, they will be like, oh, this is smang man when you're successful. But it's not respect. It's there's someone who's studied it and has an explanation for it. But there's a prevailing attitude in the city with people who think that they've made it without having made it. For me, if you've made it, show me. Like the boss of this building, when I got in here, I started speaking money. And we started speaking about stuff. I'm like, shit, you understand, like, this is a different language altogether. But you get outside, everyone in Joburg has a big car, Mercedes, BMW, Porsche, Alfa Romeo. I've never driven a car, actually, in my life. But I see, like,
never,
ever.
You never been on the driver's seat?
No.
No, even, you know, this
I don't know how to
uncle, they have old cars.
No, I came
from... It's not
from...
even moving, just being on...
No, I came from a very poor place. Like... I came from shacks.
Let's take it back. Where are you from?
In Cape Town. So, let me finish quickly the point that I think people have a false sense of what success is in Johannesburg, and I think they don't start things like a lot of them. Like when you probe further, it's like, okay, cool. You have this attitude of thinking you've made it just because you're next to a celebrity, but what have you started? How much money have you made? You know what I'm saying? What significant thing have you started? And I think that everyone has this buzz here of thinking that they've made it before they've made it, and the attitudes as well are negative. But of course, you learn, like you learn to live with people. And anyways, I don't interact with people. Anyway, I interact with the people that I work with at iDiski and Nkululeko and culture. I think in the last 6 months, I haven't interacted with strangers ever. Like you are the one stranger that I'm meeting for the first time that I'm talking to, and then anyone else who's interviewed me for a podcast. It's like, oh, okay, you're another stranger, but not necessarily to have a long chat about bullshit. No. So I try and keep away from people from here because they're full of shit. They scam, they're scammers. Like they will scam you. You know, they there's thievery. And they're corrupt, like they're morally corrupt as well.
People are fucked up generally.
Yeah. In the city, it's even worse because interestingly, I drove when I was still hustling and trying to test this iDiski concept. I drove 2 hours away with Justice, my videographer, and that's why I have like the same types of people in my team, because when I see that you don't have enough of this bullshit from Joburg, I'll include you in my team. I'm like, okay, cool, this is what I need. Because everyone else is a fucking scammer. So I drove with Justice 2 hours away from here, and we went to speak to Scoutweg. He's from Potchefstroom. And we were asking directions from the securities when we got there, and you could see the calmness in which people respond to you, the decency that they respond to you. But if you were like 2 hours before that, when we are here in Joburg, you can see, like, you can sense, you can sense who the people are full of shit. So even in Cape Town, in Eastern Cape, you realize, like, when you compare all the people that you've met in different places and the people from here, you realize, fuck this. That's why I don't think that I would ever commit to a woman from here. Like,
you have said that on your podcast.
Yeah, I don't think, like, I would. Okay, it's extreme to say I would rather die, but I don't think I would ever. I would ever.
So now you go back to Cape Town for my
Yeah, whatever. Like I would rather do something like, because even Kosa people who've spent enough time here, they transform and change. So it's like you would rather go back. So just to answer your question, I'm from Cape Town, from Nylanhla. I was raised in a squatter camp in shacks, that side. So that's where I went to school. That's where I grew up. It's a very, very difficult place to grow up in, because you see things when you're young: murders, people getting killed, people getting robbed, sex and violence against women and children and shit like that. You see it all. By the time that you're an adult, you get desensitized to it. And you participate in the gang violence sometimes as kids, and all of that shit. So I come from there. It's a piece of shit place to grow up in, as it relates to how poor people are and people killing each other every week. When I was maybe 3 or 4 years back, my uncle. So I had a house since I was 23. I bought myself an RTP house for 100,000 when I was 23 years old. I went to Capitec to ask for a loan, and then they gave me 100,000. So I bought my house there.
But they won't give you one for starting a business. Funny.
Maybe because I don't have fucked up credit. At the time I didn't have. Now I don't have fucked up credit, but I do borrow sometimes when I need to pay my stuff. Like every time I have money, I reinvest it to Nkululeko and culture, and I buy this and I buy that. If I need a short loan, I go to a bank. I'm like, shit, I need 10,000 because I need to pay someone. And shit like that, but my credit is not fucked up. But at the time, I didn't have anything on my name as clothing accounts or any stupid credit, so I got that house. It's an RDP place that I've extended, but when I bought it, of course, it was like a 1 room. So, just to explain the violence there, one time my uncle was stabbed multiple times. Right, he lives in Paarl, which is like 1 hour away, 1.5 hour away from Cape Town Central. So he was stabbed by his neighbor. And I was like, shit.
What did he do?
They drink. So niggas drink, right, on weekends, and then they get into stupid arguments, and then they stab each other every weekend. This happens. That's why the murder rate is like very high in townships because of that. So when he was stabbed and he lives with his neighbor, and I'm like, shit. This conflict may not end there, so let me take him in and move him in my house. So he drove 1.5 hours away from there, took a few of his bags to live with me in my house. And maybe I was 26, 27, I'm 32 now. Maybe that happened when I was 26 or 27. and the one time, and it was one of his bladders or pipes burst,
Yeah.
so he had to pee through a pipe when he was stabbed. And mind you, my uncle, the first time I saw him being stabbed, I was 4 years old.
Yeah.
3 or 4 years old.
I uncle.
Yeah. I think that
It's
guy,
too much.
he believes in his own immortality. He thinks that he doesn't die for some reason.
He will. It's like
when I
I'm
first
scared of getting stabbed. I don't.
they
want
stabbed him the first time I saw him when I was 4 years old. He was wearing something white, but
Yeah.
all I could see was black, was red
Yeah.
all over, and they put him in the back of a vehicle, and I didn't understand what I was seeing at the
Yeah.
time. But yeah, they put him in a vehicle, and they took him to
Yeah.
hospital, and he came back. So he's been stabbed multiple times from that since that point. And every time he gets stabbed, it's not like one stab. It's like boom, 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 boom. Yeah. So I think he believes in his own immortality. He believes that he won't die. He doesn't say this, of course.
Yeah.
But I think that he believes it because
in
he's
his
been in
mind.
so many of those situations.
Yeah.
So this time I bring him to my house because I want him to avoid, because the way that the yards are designed where he's from, in Paarl, Mbekweni, is the way that they designed those houses. The government designed the houses such that the backyard, you share the backyard with your neighbor, so there's no. You
I
could
see those
separate
kind
it.
of houses.
Yeah, you could separate it if you had money, right? You could build a fence so that this is your
Yeah.
side and this is
Yeah.
my side, at the back. But I know with our neighbors there was no separation. So the guy that stabbed him could easily walk into his shack and stab him,
Shit.
and the people in the house. It would be too late for them to respond, the people that are inside the house. So I was like, no, come through to my house. I had a space at the back, a place that I was living in before I bought the house. So I gave him that space. I said, you can live here, blah, 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 blah. I'll feed you, whatever,
Yeah.
until you're cool.
Yeah.
So one time on a Saturday, maybe around 5, it was around 5 or 6 p.m., I don't know what was happening, he's trying to pee, and he has to pee through this,
Pipe.
through this pipe, and for some reason he was feeling pain, and every time he's peeing, maybe there's blood.
Yeah.
I don't know what was happening exactly, but he panicked, and he's a man, so when someone panics and is feeling excruciating pain, and they don't know how to, like, begazela or nyamezela it, like, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, shit, this nigga is really feeling pain, and I can't just say to him, nah, man, let's relax, and I'm watching football. You know what I'm saying? I'm watching football, and I love football. I don't want anyone to interrupt me, but then I had to take him to hospital, to the local clinic, right? Now, this is how the wave of crime goes up every weekend. It was my first time being at a public clinic at that time, like on a Saturday, on a weekend at 6 p.m. We were there from 6 p.m. until 2 a.m. when we didn't get assistance.
Yeah.
I left with him at 3 a.m. I think there's something called the placebo effect. Someone can give you a pill and say, if you're coughing, I can give you a pill, which doesn't help anything.
Yeah.
And then you will believe that it's healing you, and then you will be fine. Because when we were there, I think he just read that situation that we were there from 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 midnight, 1, 2, 3 a.m. I was like, bro, we need to go. Because what was happening is that every single hour there was someone who was shot or stabbed.
Yeah.
They had like a system where they will only assist people who are who need urgent assistance, right?
The short ones.
Yeah, the people that are shot, the people that are stabbed. So we couldn't get him help at that point. But
that's a lot of hours.
Yeah. And that's what I'm trying to explain to you. On weekends in townships, people drink and then they shoot each other and they stab each other. So a township that has 300,000 people and there's one clinic, right? The demand for those services shoot up every weekend, every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, because people are drinking and they're being ignorant and they do stupid shit when they're drunk. The time that I left, there's a friend of mine, not a friend per se, but someone I grew up with, called Anele. I thought he was dead. He was at the gate, like he's literally looking down. He was lying down at the gate. I think whoever gave the gate of the hospital. The time that we're leaving at 4, it's like, fuck this. We're not going to get any assistance. The time that we were leaving, Anele is there at the gate. And I know which spot that they drink because they live like 2 streets away, but it's the same hood, right? And I grew up around that nigga and we know each other. And I thought he was dead, but I was so distressed with my patient my uncle that I was like, let's go. And whoever dropped him off there, they were just doing him a favor from the
Yeah.
from the shipping to that place to the hospital. They just left him at the gate, and the way he was slumped like,
It's
and I thought he's dead, But they stabbed him somewhere here.
Yeah, that's
But he went back to the same shipping 7 days later after he healed. He felt fine.
That's bad.
So that's like I'm trying to explain that. That's like what increases the wave of murder rates and deaths is that during the week it's on the curve is lower, and then on the weekend it shoots up every week, and it's a system that perpetuates itself. So it means that now, as we are speaking, every weekend that's going to happen. You are bound. You should expect that that's going to happen. If you ever get sick, pray that it's not a weekend. If you cannot afford a private doctor or a private hospital.
I'm scared of getting stabbed. I remember high school, this guy, it was after school, so I went to school with my phone. After school, just immediately, this guy, he used to go to attend the same school. Now because he dropped out, he came to hate us. This nigga just took up my phone. I was like, I thought like he's playing or something, like, they'll bring back my phone. God, this nigga is serious. When I go to him, he's like, hold, keep the phone. I'm fine. Just keep the phone. That's how much I'm scared of being stabbed.
No, you should, because if someone kills you, you don't have an opportunity to make money tomorrow. If someone kills you, you don't have an opportunity to laugh tomorrow.
True.
You don't have an opportunity to go to the concert of your favorite musician tomorrow. So don't get yourself caught up in an ignorant moment. I say this knowing that Nami, sometimes I'm ignorant. Like if that happens, it depends on which day you fight. You get me? Then I will fight back, and it's a bad decision. When I'm fighting back, it's a bad decision because all it takes is one stab, and I could die, and I don't have an opportunity to make money. Because I know, like, for as long as I'm alive in the next 10, 20, 30 years, wherever I'm at now financially, I'm gonna be like maybe 10 to 20 times more. I will make way more money than I'm currently making now because everything I've done is like building blocks to tomorrow. The money that I don't have now, the talent and the energy that I'm using is to build up so that tomorrow or 10 years time I have way more money than that. So now you're talented and you have a bright future ahead of you. Whenever anything like that happens, try to teach yourself. Because I come from the township and that place is very violent. It depends on which day you catch me. I could retaliate, but I always have to remind myself, Oguti, just lift your hands up, let them take it. For as long as you're still alive, you're gonna make money. Tomorrow, the next day, and the day after that.
Back to Cape Town, only recently I realized Cape Town has two sides. There's the city and there's Khayelitsha and everywhere. So like, how was you growing up on that kind of stuff?
That's a very good point that you're making. So there are different Cape Towns. There's Cape Town for white people, there's Cape Town for colored people, there's Cape Town for Black African people. And the further away you are from the city, the more difficult your situation is. So people from Khayelitsha drive, depending on the traffic, they could drive an hour and a half to the city. People from Nkululeko could drive an hour to the city. People from Gwalanga are fortunate enough to be located 20 minutes away from the city, 15 minutes away from the city, depending on traffic, right? But you can see, like, as you're driving to the city, the closer you get to the city, the more improved the conditions are. My township is Nyanga. It's like we're literally a walking distance from the Cape Town International Airport. But it is a fucked up township. There's so many different...
Is it that one after the airport?
Yes. So as you come from the airport, you see shacks. That's where Nyanga starts. But then there's different names for it. So our people are very creative when they come up with names as well. So the first township you'll see is Barcelona.
Wow. From when?
So no, not FC Barcelona. It's been like they write it as BHA. Barcelona, SELON. It's written in Xhosa. It's called Barcelona. And the one next to it is called Euro. But they spell it with a Y.
So there are people in South Africa living in New York.
Europe and Barcelona. And then the city, one street, maybe 5 minutes away from that, there's Lusaka. Lusaka is a city in Zambia, but they call it Lusaka. And then there's different townships, Mau Mau, and then I come from one that they call KTC, so there's those different townships, and then there's gang violence, and if you're from KTC, sometimes depending on the time, and month and what recently would have happened, you can't go to Lusaka or Maholweni or wherever. And then Nkululeko is not far away from that as well. Because it was all Nyanga East, Nyanga West, Nyanga South, so and then Nkululeko broke away from that and they became Nkululeko.
Yeah.
At some point, Nkululeko and Nyanga is separated by a street. So some of my family is in Nkululeko. Mina, I'm from Nyanga because maybe in the early 90s, people were growing up in Nkululeko. They were becoming adults.
Yeah.
They then left those, and they're like decent houses, brick houses, right? But they were living with their families, their mothers, their fathers, and then when they grew up, there was no land for that population of young people that were growing up, and then they just crossed the road, and then they started a new township called KGC. They built their own houses there. So
you remind me of some shacks and around the Orange Farm side.
Yeah.
The area there is called Pumula Mqachi. So it's one of those, you see Julius Malema bring back the land, then people just go and build shacks. And then somebody has to come with a name. They'll be like, Pumula Mqachi. We're no longer paying rent, now we're free. Yeah.
There's COVID, there's sanitizer. In Cape Town, there's Marikana, there's COVID, there's sanitizer, there's Taiwan.
Yep.
There's a lot of.
I live in COVID.
There's people who live in COVID. The people that I'm disappointed in are the ones that named their township Ramaphosa for some strange reason. It's like, that was even after Marikana. It's like, alright guys, okay, we know you like being creative, but don't call your township Ramaphosa, you know. Yeah. For all the people you can name your township about, don't name it around Ramaphosa. But anyways, there are people who live in a place called Ramaphosa. And all of these shacks have like creative names. Marikana. It's not even creative actually. It shows that people listen to the news. Where I come from, there's a significant number of people that listen to news on radio. So if something is happening in Syria, best believe that in the next 2 years, there will be a township called Syria. If something happening in the Gaza Strip between Israel and Palestine, even the gangs, there was like a Palestina gang, you know what I'm saying, which shows that even the younger generation listens to the news. So it's all news influenced, you know, those kind of townships. Yeah.
What did you use to come to Joburg? Plane, bus, car?
I think Brenda Fassie came when she was 13 here to pursue a music career. I'm sure she used the bus. I was listening to Amanda Black. I think it's the Power album. I think she describes having come to Joburg from the Eastern Cape using a bus. I was already earning like 20-something thousand from Sokaladuma, so I flew from here. I already had a career by the time I flew to Joburg. I was different in that Brenda Fassie would have been someone who aspires to come here from Gwalanga in Cape Town to come to Joburg, and she knew that the industry was here. And when she was 13 or 14, and she came here, she took the chance to come here as a young teenager. But I came here as like a fully employed, experienced person. I was 29 in 2019. 29 in 2019.
Was it your first time?
I had won awards on 2 occasions. So in 2017, I came here to pick up 2 awards, and then in 2018, I came here as well to pick up an award. On 2 different occasions, I was here for awards. In 2004, when I was 14, I'm a trained musician, so I was part of a school choir since I was 11. So if you win, the choirs at the time, you had to win your small region, and then if you win provincial, you would come to the dome. I think they've closed the dome now.
They sell cars now.
So you would come to the dome to perform at the national competition. So that was my first time was when I was 14 in 2004, and then we were national champions most of the time with my school. My school was very violent. There was so much. My principal was killed when I was in grade 12. You know what I'm saying? But we still had a very good school music program, which I started in my primary school years when I was like 11. So I'm a trained musician in that sense, that I did choral music when I was younger. I'm a tenor. So that's how I came to Joburg. We would come, sleep at Holiday Inn, perform the next morning, and then go. And we would win sometimes, and sometimes we would lose. In my primary school, we would lose, but then I joined a high school that was like full of winners. And I was lucky enough when I was 14 when I was allowed to join that choir, because usually it was like older guys who were 22 at the time, like in the mid 2000s. It was normal to find 20-year-olds still in high school, 23-year-olds still in high school. I remember when I was in matric, the oldest person was like 1983, so Mina I was 18, and whenever they were like 24, 25, something like that.
When Mandela came out for prison, he said everybody should go to school. Go back to school. The reason why I'm asking you to give me the type of transport you use, I want you to take it back to when you were coming on your way. What are your thoughts? Oh, I'm coming to Joburg. Were you ready?
Nah, because I was old. I think I was very fortunate because I've always wanted to come to Joburg because I realized this is where the industry is. But sometimes you guide it. You guide it by circumstances to say no, this is not the right time. No, you're not ready for it. There's no opportunity for it. I was ready in 2017 when I won my first national award at the SAP Sports Media Awards. I was ready. So when I came to Joburg, I was 29 years old, bro. Like, really, at 29, we were ready to set up a business. We were ready, like, because we don't drink, we don't smoke, we don't do drugs, and you literally, like, are laser focused on your goals. So by the time I got here, I was ready. I was flying Gautrain. The only caveat with that is that I didn't have a place to stay, so I had to stay at Mate Demala. Mate Demala is a friend of a friend, and I had to be in Centurion to come and work at Rosebank, and that cost me 250 rands Uber to come, and then from work, so that was like 500 rands every day for like 2 weeks. But I was fortunate enough, so that's 2,500 or something like that per week. That's 5,000 in 2 weeks. But I was fortunate that there was like pension that came from my work at Sokoladoma, even though it wasn't long. But I think I got 40,000 rands from leaving Sokoladoma because it was a dope company. Media 24 is a dope company. When I worked at a call center, by the time I left, I got nothing. But I think I got 40,000 rands, so I had some money. Until I got a lodge. I stayed at the lodge in the same street as Massive Metro in Rosebank. So for me, I didn't have any anxiety really when I flew to Joburg because I was old. Like I had already done community radio stations. I had already done.
So you have a portfolio.
I have my expectations of if this doesn't work, I go back to Cape Town. I have my house there, and I'm respected, and I had a job at Media 24. At Sokoladoma. So I could maybe regroup, try again, maybe next time. But of course, like that's not a thought at the forefront of your mind because you're setting up yourself for failure. You're making failure acceptable, But I always knew like in the event of the worst case scenario happening, I can always go back to Cape Town and regroup and restart again because I was a respected person. I was coaching kids. I was the secretary of my football association. I had my own football club. I was doing community radio. I had my own podcast at Sokoladoma Radio. My job was paying me over 20,000 rand, so I could leave that comfort. But I was ready to break away from that because I don't want to work forever. Like my dream, my drive was always like that. Like I don't want to work forever because you have to go there every day. Work is stupid because you have to go there every day. You have to go there and spend 5 hours. I'm dope. Like I'm very organized and I know how to do work. So sometimes I would do my interviews within 2 hours, 3 of them, and they're dope. I didn't do chop work and then 2 minutes I'm done. No, it was dope. So I'm exactly, like decent interviews where it's like you see my interview with you, with me and you, and then maybe there's 2 other people waiting for it. Right, and then you've done 3 or 4 interviews. That's like your week's worth of work. You've done it in one day, but you have to be there every day for 8 hours. So even if you finish your work,
I also hate that.
Yeah, well, even if you finish your work in 3 hours,
that's something that encouraged me to start a podcast. Like, my plan is I need to make it in 3 years.
Yeah.
So if I don't make it in 3 years, I'm going for a 9 to 5.
Yeah. But what's your family situation like? Do you have to pay bills? Do you live with mom and dad, or what's the situation?
No, I'm a student.
What are you studying towards?
I'm studying BA in social work.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Why are you doing that? Like, is that as a backup or what?
Honestly, just because I got accepted it. Seriously. Yeah. Honestly.
Yeah, but don't waste your time. Although, of course, push whatever you push. And there's nothing I can say to you, but I hate school. Like, fuck school.
We also do it just that you don't have a choice. It's either this or poverty.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have to do this
Yeah.
either way. Yeah.
Yeah, no, cool. I think not everyone is going to be successful at this.
Yeah.
The fact that you've watched some of my interviews and some of Nota's interviews when I interviewed him, and the dude that you did for TikTok, the TikTok influencer,
Yeah.
continue consuming content. Just watch.
Yeah.
I still watch content every single day. The first thing
Yeah.
I did this morning at 5 a.m. watch content. Then after that, I watched the Springboks play against Australia at 7:30, and I'm doing this now. And then iDiskiTv later when I get home, eat, and then watch content.
Yeah.
Continue to watch content.
Yeah.
See how people are asking questions.
Yeah.
Learn from them. Improve your ability to ask questions.
Mm.
I would even say read, but I think reading is important, and I do read. But I'm realizing now in the last 2-3 years that some of the best information that's written by authors, they are now imparting in audiobooks
Yeah.
and podcasts. So reading is as good as watching content. So
Yeah.
if you can get in the habit of watching dope people, don't watch gossipy bullshit. People who are exchanging ideas. If you can watch that, you're good. Like you're like, okay, this is what this means. Yeah, but you shouldn't figure everything out by the time you're 20.
Yeah.
So you will have like you were saying, like people were saying on the Nota interview, you were interrupting each other, whatever the fuck was, who is this guy, whatever it was, their feedback.
Yeah.
Don't take their feedback, fuck them, but make those mistakes. You shouldn't have figured everything out when you were 20.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes when you're 20, you can make a mistake and fall in love with your cousin, and you know that that's not the right thing to do.
Luck, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And you shouldn't do that, but you are expected to make mistakes like that. Or maybe you are given 5,000 rands for school fees, you think it's a good idea to take 3,000 from that and smoke happily bubbly or any stupid shit that you guys are doing, you know, and only pay 2,000. Whatever it is, you are expected to make those mistakes. If you are lucky enough to have the intellect, you can actually have like a decent discipline and mindset when you're 20. By the time I was 21, I was already coaching kids.
Oh.
I was already starting my own football team. So that by the time I was 23, I was running my own football association. Like, it's not my own, but the football association from my area, which has like over 2,000 football players. I was already the secretary of that association. So being young is not an excuse for being stupid, but you're supposed to make mistakes at your age.
Yeah, I'm growing.
But fuck people. if people are giving you a hard time, fuck them.
Fuck them.
Don't know about that.
iDiskiTv is successful. Why start Nkululeko and culture?
There's only so many things you can discuss with football people. Some of them are one-track minded, so they only understand what they understand. They're not curious to understand more and learn more about the world. For them, if you can talk about their Kaiser Chiefs and their Orlando Pirates and their Sundowns, they are happy. If you can talk about their Chelsea, their Real Madrid, they are happy. You know, I'm not that kind of a person. I know a lot of things, and I'm curious. I listen to people talk and I read, and I'm fascinated by people. You know, my musicians. You know, people who do art. I love consuming content. So Nkululeko and culture becomes an outlet where I can actually talk things out. Like I've spoken to prostitutes, I've spoken to politicians, you know, and I'm trying to expand as well. There's someone who killed his father, that I spoke to, you know.
Yeah, I saw that.
And that, like, I think it got over 150,000 views. That interview. I saw his story one day and I quickly tried to get him. And I flew him from Durban. I had some coins as well. I was fortunate that I could book a flight, come here, and that interview became it became very successful. So that's like what I want to do. I want to talk to people. I want to hear them out. I want to listen to their stories. You know, so iDiskiTv doesn't allow you that because I specifically started iDiskiTv. Jason and I started that platform for football only. For football, so we can't we can't be fucking around talking about other things there. That's not the contract between us and our audience, you know. And also it was about ownership. So I needed an outlet where I can own alone. So Nkululeko and culture is something that I started because I realized shit, iDiski, that piece of a pie has to be cut 4 times. Was betting, Nkululeko, Jason Aker, Tyron Willemse. So when you start these things, when you don't have money for it, you have to source funding for it. So I didn't have money at the time. Jason and I didn't have the money at the time to pay staff, so we had to go to the owner of Massive Metro, Tyrone Willemse, for him to fund, and then he gets a percentage of it. And he had to buy the vision because we're starting at zero.
Yeah,
we're selling an idea.
There's no link, no nothing.
Exactly. So he has to buy the idea. But the way that we convinced him was that I was like, cool, let me just shoot a couple of things and I'll show you how this is going to work. And fortunately, the first interview we did, we got 200,000 views. The second one, 60,000 views. The third one, 250,000 views. And I was like, yeah, this works. Because I had been reading about YouTube. I had been watching YouTube videos. How to make a successful YouTube channel. What they were talking about niche and content and headlining and this and that. So I was like, okay, cool. This is what I'm going to do. You know what I'm saying? So with Nkululeko on Culture, I own it alone. In what date is it today? It's 27th of August. On the 27th of August, 2023, in a year from now, I will have 150,000 subscribers, or at least 120,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
So by the time it gets to 500,000 or even 200,000 subscribers, you are as influential as a radio station.
Yeah, true.
So there are radio stations that get 100,000 people. There are radio stations that get like 200,000 listeners, and those are hypothetical numbers. They use a small sample of the population. So they sometimes they do a survey to random people, like a random 2,000 people. They say, this week, how many radio stations have you listened to? Which one? What is your home language? How many people are there in the house? And then from those 2,000 or 10,000 people, they make the argument that Ukhozi FM is listened to by 7 million people. Metro FM is listened to by 5 million people. From a sample of like 10,000 people. Tina, as YouTubers, we know, like, we get the analytics.
Actual numbers, you can see.
Yeah, exactly. The people that are watching the show, they know. They can see how many other people are watching, how many people liked it, how many people are commenting on it. So when you have 200,000 subscribers, you're like a fucking institution. So I was trying to create that. For me, it's about that. It's also knowing that in 3 or 4 years' time, I'll be chasing 1 million subscribers, and by the time I get there, I'm a fucking institution. The amount of money that you're making, you can pay like. Now I'm paying 2 people. I'm paying the videographer and the editor, and sometimes but that's an occasional cost. Sometimes I pay someone to call a guest on my behalf. When I feel like I don't want to talk to someone to arrange the interview. I'm like, shit, just you talk to him. If they agree, then I'll give you $500 for it. Okay. That's not like too much work. You know what I'm saying? And they do that. And I have like a couple of guys that do that for me. And sometimes like the interview will come directly. Like someone will ask to be interviewed. But of course I have to look at what are their numbers, who's listening to them, what is their scope of influence, you know. So you become an institution. We will become bigger than radio stations, bigger than TV channels. It's arguable that there are 3 million people who watch SABC News at 7 p.m. on SABC 1. It's arguable. You don't know the number. You have absolutely no way of gauging whether or not that is true. They just released the numbers recently. They were saying Mubango got a significant drop in numbers. Uzalo, all of them, they got a significant drop in numbers. Uzalo was usually on 8 million. I think it's on 7 million now. Generations is usually on 6 million. It's on 5 million now. All of them, like, they got a significant drop. My question was, how? But anyways, I've always used that number as well because that's the industry number. But I'm starting to question that now. Like, okay, how do you know that number? And secondly, where did these people go then? Because it's not like they've been deaths. Like, suddenly 10 million people died in South Africa in the last 12 months. No. So where are they going? You need to give us a counter argument. There's a decline on TV, which we understand because TV is shit. But then where is the increase at? Is it on YouTube channels? Is it on Showmax? Is it HBO Max or whatever, like the streaming services? Because Netflix is saying that they've lost numbers as well. So where are these people going? You know what I'm saying? So I think it's very interesting. I've been trying to get an answer to that question. Not that I'm asking it from people. I'm trying to answer for myself, and I'm researching. I'm checking out where are these people. Because yes, podcasting, but podcast episodes last for 1 hour. They last for 2 hours. People still have an opportunity to watch their Mubango, you know, their scandals or whatever.
Plus, they watch podcasts at their own time.
Yeah, exactly. There's no time limitation. So I'm trying to work out if the argument by the Broadcast Research Corporation of South Africa is they are saying that the numbers are declining, which I'm happy about because I have no dog in the fight. I want people to stop watching television, but I want to understand like the numbers. You have to ask the number. There was a book I was reading where some they were saying that there's this guy who has a skill of interrogating the numbers until it gives them an answer. You know what I'm saying? The numbers don't speak, but like he looks at the numbers. That what they meant was that he looks at the numbers until he finds a logical explanation about what he's looking at. But so for me, Nkululeko culture was like a vehicle so that I can be able to talk to people, different kinds of people, and there's no rules in so far as. So with iDiski, because there's like multiple partners, there are things that I would like to do, but I have to search for budget for it, and everything that's on iDiskiTv is something that I want to do. Everyone I'm interviewing is someone that I'm hiring to interview because the way that we demarcate our roles is that I'm in charge of iDiski, Jason is in charge of the newspaper, and then our partners are our partners. We meet in meetings. The website as well has its own employees, and Jason oversees that. Right? We meet in meetings, and World Sports Betting doesn't really have to be involved at the operation of the business, and TIFF as well, Tyrone Willemse doesn't have to be involved at the running of the business. But as it relates to us, because we earn a salary, myself and Jason earn a salary from the company, so there must be something that we're doing. So I'm a presenter at iDiski, I'm also the employer at iDiski. Like I make sure I'm a boss of the people that are there, make sure everything is running smoothly, whatever we need, we make sure we do. But there's limitation. I can't just do anything I want there, you know. But with Nkululeko culture, like I can interview whoever, I can shoot whenever. It's like if I don't feel like I want to shoot, I don't have to shoot. You know.
So what's your process of inviting guests? Because you invite prostitutes, some other random people. Like, let's watch.
Yeah, there's no process really. Like so, at the moment, I was speaking to Musa Kaula because there was drama between him and Moshandegi, right? So that's like a story to chase, an interesting one. But I spoke to him, it wasn't promising. I think maybe there's only 10% chance that could happen. I wouldn't hold my breath on it happening. I wouldn't be too disappointed. I would love to have him because he's got a huge following and a lot of things are happening in his life at the moment. So I chase stories like that. Sometimes randomly someone will speak to you and say, yo, can we come to your platform? And then I will look at it and I'm like, because you have to consider the cost of doing an interview as well. So the cost is every time I shoot, I spend around 1,500 because that's a shift fee for the videographer and the editor. So that's like actually more than 1,500. That's close to 2,000 because every shift I have to pay those people. So if I'm gonna interview someone who's not interesting, who does not have a following, who's not gonna give me decent views. For me, decent views is like 10,000 people watching. I don't want anything
less.
Anything less is maybe 5,000 is understandable. But what I'm trying to say is that I don't have unhealthy expectations of what should happen. Some people will go to YouTube thinking that they need to get 100,000 views. 100,000 views are very difficult to get. They are very difficult to get. You have to be on a certain platform for you to get that, or something needs to dramatically happen in an episode. You need the reason why some episodes get to 100,000 is because when I spoke to Saul, for example, that one is on 86,000. It would have been on 300,000 by now. But what happened was, YouTube picked up a certain topic that we were talking about, LGBTQI, and we used certain words, and then YouTube stopped promoting it. It stopped pushing. What do they call this? Impressions. Impressions. It's called impressions. They stopped pushing impressions. This is one of my guys who work for me. So they stopped pushing impressions as a result of it, and they demonetized it as well when it was on like 50,000. So that's why it then trickled down to 80,000. But the reason why it got views is because it was popping on Twitter, and it was also covered by Times Live and a lot of other websites as well. So some websites, News 24 also covered it. So some websites will write, Saul Penduka explains Dineo Ranaka role. Like then they will take what he said on the episode, and then they will include the link. And sometimes you will see the video is embedded on the article. So we get some of so it will tell us like how many people watched from Times Live. So from Times Live on that episode, we got like maybe 3,000 people at this point. If I'm still in that range. From Twitter, we got like maybe 2,000 people. who clicked on the link as a result of seeing it from Twitter, and then from Media 24, like maybe 400 people who watched. So so things don't just get to 100,000. You know, you need building blocks to get to 100,000. Sometimes something controversial happens in the episode and it blows up. You know what I'm saying? And everyone is watching it from different platforms and different spheres on the digital space. So I don't have an expectation that. Let me just answer offensive. Let me just answer offensive. Yo, what's good? How are you? I'm good. I'm not in my house, no. I'm doing an interview, so you're literally live on the interview, interrupting us. Do you want that equipment? Do you have a way of returning it without burdening me? Okay, cool. Speak to my wife and then she'll help you. Yeah, take what you need. One camera, one memory card and whatever. Cheers. Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah, fine.
Where were we?
Oh,
I forgot. Yeah. So basically, I don't have an expectation for for an episode to get to 100,000.
Yeah.
I don't even work myself up about 100,000.
Yeah.
iDiski does like close to 1 million views per week on a good week, and sometimes 500,000 views on a good weekend. You know, and I know how it gets there because we have like a strong 300,000 people following us on digital. In total, it's like over 350,000, and then I know like it will tell us this is the traffic that you got from external sources like like Twitter, Facebook. Mostly we get it from Facebook with iDiski. So I know how to quantify why a certain episode got to 100,000. Okay. So for me, my expectation is always just to get 10,000 human beings watching us and listening to us speak, and I appreciate that. Like, I don't want to have anything more. Of course, you like it when it gets to 50,000. You like it when it gets to 100,000. But my expectation every time for myself, get to 10,000. Like that's a very decent number because if you can build from that. If you can have 10,000 human beings committed to watching you every Monday or every Tuesday, once a week or twice a week, then that's cool. You can build from there because it can only go higher from there. If the quality and the standard is the same, you're still intriguing to listen to, then it's fine. Someone is going to tell someone else, and other people are going to tell other people, and all of a sudden, within 6 months, 10 turns to 20, and so on. That's how hustling works as well. Like you make $500, and then you try to turn it into 5,000, but you don't expect that will happen within a day or two. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you build up to it. Like for a few months, you build up, and then you take it from there. So, yeah, for me, that's the standard expectation, and the rate of our growth is such that we get 5,000 to 10,000 people subscribing every month, and I want that. Like, I'm happy with that. And my expectation is that by this time next year, 100,000 to 120 to 150,000 people will be subscribers, and you start to feel like you're an institution. Just like iDiski, like when we go to stadiums, we can't go to stadiums anymore. There would be a stampede. Sometimes I go with my guys at a mall, and you see like 100 people all suddenly converging towards you, taking pictures and shit like that. And it's not violent, just people just happy to see you guys. And when I'm by myself, like I never go to a mall without people giving you a shout or whatever the case is. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not even super famous. My guys, Junior especially, is super famous from the work that we do. So, you know, so you know the impact of the work. So I know, like with myself, Nkululeko and culture, it's gonna get to that point. It's gonna get to that level where people are calling you left, right, and center. You know what I'm saying?
On your podcast, you happen to chill more with Nota.
Yeah.
People say things about him. What are your thoughts about him?
Yeah, that's a very good question, actually. I think I've said this when I was speaking to Saul. I think Nota is brilliant. I think that. So, I see things in people that other people don't see. Yeah. I see the light. I see when someone has the light. Yeah. And I think that dude has the light. I saw it the first time I saw him, and I said it the first time to him. Like when I spoke to him, I was like, "Yo, you are extremely important. You are very, very important." I think it's super, super dope. You know, and I think I'm learning certain things about him his style. I mean, when what happened with Berita happened,
Yeah.
I did not, and I would not have thought that someone would react that way, like be open in public and
Yeah,
talk,
yeah.
and to a point where it seems as though people can say stop attacking her and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, I would not have known that that's how it was going to play out. I thought that perhaps let's talk about it. Let's be an outlet where you have your say about what happened in the marriage if you're comfortable. And I even told him in the episode, I was like, yo, I'm not comfortable listening to a man talking about his wife, but to be fair, because we talk once a month,
Yeah.
the audience expects us to talk about this, and we addressed it. That's why I titled my episode with him "The Elephant in the Room."
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The one where we were speaking specifically about Berita. I think there's so much money to be made with a brain like Nota that
Yeah.
I think there is no need.
Even when he came to the studio, man, they had a long talk with the boss. It was like they had like serious talks.
Yeah. There's so much money to
Yeah.
be made with his brain
Yeah.
that there's no need to participate in the Twitter,
Yeah.
participate on the comment section, having a go at people.
Yeah.
But I think, I suppose, like, people are designed differently.
Mm.
You know, I don't have time for that shit. Like, I couldn't care less for that shit.
Yeah.
I don't want to respond to people. I would rather you have an opinion about me and I don't give a fuck, because
Yeah.
I'm going to continue to show you that I'm better than you. Like, with regards to the audience, if someone is criticizing, I'm going to continue to prove to you that I'm better than you. But he's wired differently. He wants to engage. He wants to have a go at the audience, and he wants to talk. And I think it's said this before as well. Like, Twitter is addictive. And perhaps maybe he may want to not engage, or he may want to be away from it, but maybe doesn't have a way, hasn't figured out a way not to use it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But yeah, it's very dope, man.
Yeah.
I was really, so when I spoke to Saul,
Yeah.
I had been speaking to Nota and I've been saying to him, what the fuck did that guy do to you? Like, why you keep on having a go at him?
Yeah.
Because he seems like a decent guy. But of course, that was like a private conversation,
Yeah.
and he explained his reasons and stuff like that. But still, I wasn't satisfied that is sufficient for you to have a goal continuously, right? But he continued to do that. But of course, like, that's his prerogative. He can do that. You know, you can decide to continue to do that, because only them two know what happened between them.
Yeah.
But when I spoke to Saul, he was like, nah, man, we were cool. Like, I didn't do anything to him. We were cool. We were talking.
Just the card
You know what I'm saying? And so all of a sudden something happened, and then Soul sold out, trended, and shit like that. So I was a bit taken aback by that, you know what I'm saying? But I know, like, I'm a solid dude. I'm a stand-up dude. I don't take from people. I don't steal from people. So I know, like, my relationship with Nota at that level, I don't think it would ever deteriorate to the point where we have to say things against each other publicly. Even if it happens, like, I know I have my own microphones, my own cameras. I will continue to shoot. I would never really even engage.
Yeah.
I think there's so much money to be made, man. Like, Jesus Christ, millions to be made.
Yeah, Nota is brilliant.
You know, exactly. Like, if we can just channel those energies in that, I think we'll be good.
One thing that I noticed that people don't know about Nota is that he's a really good guy. I don't know, man. His energy is not industry. You see, there's some people when they come, you just feel the energy. Like, Nota is that guy whereby you can chat everything. When he came, he had a chat with some ladies, I don't know, from them. It's like, now they're speaking. It's like, hey, let me just leave him. Yeah. And then the last guest of your show that I want to talk about is Nhlanhla Lux. What do you think about Operation Tutula?
Yeah. So I have a lot of empathy for migrants who come from their countries to run away from a situation. I have a lot of empathy. So that, from the beginning, it means that we are in directly opposing positions. You know, I know, like, Nhlanhla Lux's interpretation of the situation is that illegal foreigners. You know what I'm saying? Minaga, I couldn't care less. Like, I have empathy. Empathy is the first thing. Like, I completely get it. I completely get the fact that. So in my estimation, in the next 30 years, South Africa is going to be uncontrollable. There may even be a civil war. And I think that it's important that we maintain civil relations with our neighbors, because we may need them in future, just like we've needed them in the past. But I have so much empathy, because I was running a football club and I had Zimbabweans, Congolese. I played football with them, and even besides the personal anecdotes that I'm sharing, I think just being a human being, you just understand people's plights. I would never lead any group of people against foreigners, whether they're here illegally or illegally.
Yeah.
I could just find a way to perhaps maybe have stronger border control. Find a way to, if there's an unemployment crisis in South Africa, take unemployed people, let them manage the border situation. Like if there's 1 million people who are unemployed,
they should just go.
Just deploy them there. You know what I'm saying? I don't even have a problem with people coming here. I know like that's like a good problem to it. Like that, maybe that's an indicative of my place in the society at the moment, that I don't see myself having to share resources with Zimbabweans.
Yeah.
Therefore, maybe I'm not threatened. But even when I was in KTC in Nyanga, even when I was feeling deep sense of poverty in 2008, and I was 18, I was living in a shack, I never, when this xenophobic attack started, I never thought that I have to share resources with Zimbabweans and shit like. I never felt it. Yes, I know, like in my township, if you need a builder, someone who extends your house, you will most likely have a Zimbabwean, and they will charge you lesser than what the South African will charge you, significantly, like 10,000 lesser. You know, and I think that at that level of that conflict, you can understand why a South African will feel aggrieved. You know what I'm saying? But I empathy, the most important thing for me. Even with my Congolese friends, people that I've met from Tanzania, you know, niggas from Namibia as well. It's like, bruh, if you have a very tough situation in your country, you have a very valid reason, because life is very important. You have a very valid reason to flee your country. So I get it, like with guys like Nhlanhla Lux, that's his brand, and that's what he represents, people from Soweto, and he, you know, he's deciding that that's how he's gonna go around doing what it does. But of course, like there's been backlash now recently, with people saying, because he said specifically illegal foreigners, and South Africa has a strong appetite to be xenophobic. They just want everyone who's not a foreigner out here, especially if they are black, you know. Which is strange, because of course there's a lot of foreigners in Cape Town, where I come from. A lot of foreigners own property in dope locations like Kemps Bay, House Bay, whatever the fuck. You know what I'm saying? So those people were on the side of Nhlanhla Lux for as long as he was saying fuck all foreigners. And he never really said that, Nhlanhla. He's always been specific that against illegal foreigners.
They just erased the illegal.
Well, now that they have an appetite, because we have the thing is, if you cannot channel your energy against the system of white supremacy, and you cannot fight whiteness, because whiteness is always going to be strong all over the world, then you go to the next victim, the next person who cannot defend themselves. So
you look for who to blame.
Exactly. I mean, you are Tsonga, right? You know your lived experiences in Johannesburg as you come here. You know that you are a minority tribe, you know, because the biggest tribe is Zulu, and then Xhosa, and then I think Sotho, and then Tswana. I think Tsonga and Venda are the lowest population group ethnically. And you know your lived experiences, that how you have to explain, no, me, I'm from here, you know what I'm saying? I may be dark, you know what I'm saying? When you like it that you're not that dark, but the ones who are darker, I'm sure they feel the bigger grunt of the people. Because I remember the Tsongas in my area in Cape Town, they sell brooms, you know, and spoons and shit like that, and they go door to door, they give you the brooms, and then maybe 30 days later, on credit, they will come and collect. But then they had to explain, even vendors in Cape Town during the early wave of xenophobic attacks, they had to explain, no, I'm not exactly Shona or I'm not from Malawi.
Now you have to explain what is this.
Exactly, that type of thing. So I think it always opens up for that possibility to occur. But I think in the next 20 years, South Africa is going to be very unstable, because 70% of the country is poor, and those people are fucking tired. There is no interest for the country to be smooth for those people, right? So it will at some point be in their interest to tear this shit down. It will be in their interest to burn the shit down. They've already shown the propensity to do that when there was stuff happening in KZN last year. They were calling it looting and shit like that. So we've already shown the propensity to know which are the focal points of the delivery of food, petrol, basic services. You can just close the highway as trucks are entering from Namibia, from Botswana, and stuff like that, and you can sabotage the country. When people have nothing to lose, they will do anything. And I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
that poor people in 20 years, maybe in 30 years from now, and I've always been saying this, and that's why I don't want to be in the city in the next 10 years. I'm not going to be in any city in the next 10 years. I'll be somewhere deep in farms and creating a palace for myself in farms because I know like I won't be affected. I think that people are going to burn the shit down in the next 10 years. And when that happens, we might need places to run away to. And white people will be able to run away to Australia as they've proven. They've gone to Australia, they've gone to New Zealand, they've gone to Canada, they've gone to America. So it's easier for them. They mobilize on the basis of their skin color. And they become accepted because if you find a white person, a white South African in Italy looks like an Italian.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, because they are all white.
Yeah.
And if they find themselves in Serbia...
You can tell the difference. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. If they can learn the language, they just become part of that. You know, just like a white person in Australia, South African white becomes a member of the population group.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of the paperwork and securing the citizenship. So, Tina Nyama as black people, this is our continent. We have an interest to make sure that we have decent relations with our neighbors so that if ever we need anything, or if they need anything, we can help each other out. But of course, on the other hand, we have to say that perhaps have tighter border controls and shit like that. Put more unemployed people, put them there on the border and pay them a stipend or 5,000 or 20,000 or 10,000, whatever amount of money that is viable as a solution to that problem. I think that's my opinion on that. As it relates to Nhlanhla is an educated person. He explained to me. He explained to me that he went to private schools and he was driving airplanes as well.
Yeah.
I think he is a certified pilot and shit like that. So I think at any point, at any given time, if you wanted to, you can just go back to that career.
Yeah.
I'm 32 years old and I am always, maybe because I come from deep poverty, I'm always trying to not waste my time on shit. Like I can be an activist or I can help out the community, and I've done that with where I come from. But there was a point where I was like, shit, I need to take care of my own self-interest as well because I'm gonna be 40 years old living in the township without any net worth to talk about. Like, by the time I'm 40, I would have made way more than 10 million now with the trajectory that I'm on now. Yeah. But so I was always like obsessed with not wasting my time getting out of poverty and stuff like that. So I think Nhlanhla will get to that point as well. Maybe that he needs to go back to pursue that pilot career and stuff like that. But yeah, maybe at a different time, on a different platform, I would unpack my views. I don't want to be too political. I would unpack my views on other stuff as well. I do think that there's like a lot of there are people who are trying to plan the next step for South Africa. Rich white billionaires who are trying to plan the next step for South Africa. So they try out things and they try and foresee how our people are going to respond to this, how our people are going to respond to that, what can we use that can be influential and stuff like that. And eventually they will settle on a solution that keeps the status quo as it is, because South Africa as it is works in the interest of white people. Black people, majority of them are poor. There's no interest for them to keep this going, other than the fact that at least you can watch Generations on television, at least you have running tap water, and at least you can hustle to get 15 rands to buy yourself a loaf of bread. And that's it, like basic services.
It's 20 rand now.
Is it 20?
It's bread is super expensive.
And also like the free education.
Which is
the value of that education is shit. You're being educated to become an employee. You're not being educated to become an employer. Or something like that. So I think for now, because Black South Africans and even the grant incentivizes people to have like 4 kids, so that's 450 times 4. You know what I'm saying? That's how actually people from my area rationalize it. Like if I have the 4th child, then at least I will have like 2,500 if that's the total that you will get. Something like that. That's how they speak in my area where I come from. You know, so that like is a system that's deliberate, that's there to perpetuate the way that things are at the moment. Because the moment that black people realize that electricity is unaffordable, petrol is unaffordable, the little things that they have, if they get affected in any way, shape or form, they would tear the shit down. They would burn the shit down. You know, and they just need channeling of their energies to do